Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Xochitl. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of my videos, especially if you love makeup reviews, demos, tutorials, and more. Today, I'm gonna do like an upgrade of a video I did before. I'm gonna link it down below. This is talking about my current favorite go-to bronzers. A while ago, maybe a couple years ago, I did like my top favorite like bronzers and like highlight and contour palettes, and since then a bunch of the products that I'm using now, like they just, they didn't come out at the time, so I was like, I need to do an upgrade. I feel like this is something I've got to do every couple of years because there's so many new products coming out. I know somebody specifically requested this and I was like, but you know what, I have that video, but my current favorites are like not on there. So today I'm going to talk about my current top 5 favorite bronzers. These are the ones that like rotate. These are my go-tos. Got a little mixture of high-end and drugstore for you guys who want an affordable bronzer, or for those of you who are like, yo, I want to treat myself. I want to spend a little bit more on my bronzer, but I want it to be worth it, So many makeup products out there, it's hard to narrow down like what's really going to be worth it. Even though you're paying more, doesn't always mean it's better. So let's talk about my current go-tos. Let's talk about the drugstore one. So one of them that I feel like this brand in general is just super underrated. Their products are just so underrated. These are like hidden gems from the drugstore, and it is Flower Beauty. So this is the Flower Beauty Heat Wave Bronzer. I believe they have 2 different shades. Mine is in the shade, the Luminous Bronzer Sunrise L1. And then I believe they have one just like a little bit deeper, a little bit warmer. And it looks like it's going to be really cool tone here in the pan, but it's not. This one works really well. If you're like my skin tone, if you're a little bit deeper, I would get the L2 version. But this one, I love that it's so baked. It's not as warm. It's leans a little bit cooler tone, but like when you kind of dig in there, you can kind of see under like the bake effect as it gets warmer and warmer. So if you guys have been into baked bronzers, I know Milani has one, but it kind of has like shimmers and stuff in there. This one doesn't, which is why I like it. So it's weird because it's a matte powder bronzer, but it doesn't go on the skin like that. It gives you just like a nice finish, kind of luminous effect to it. So I love it. I love the way that it applies, the way that it builds up. So if you guys have been wanting to try baked bronzers, I would highly recommend the Flower Beauty one. The next go-to bronzer for me, of course, Milani made it in. I've been waiting for like a matte bronzer for them. Like I said, they had their baked one, but that had shimmers. I'm really not into shimmers. Like for that type of a glow, I wanted to kind of be more so in the product rather than little specks in there. So this is their Silky Matte Bronzer. Once again, for me, this is O2 Sun Kiss. They have a shade lighter and a shade darker, I believe, but this one works well for my skin tone. Once again, it looks a little bit more cool tone, but when like swatching with like other bronzers, it's definitely maybe a little bit more cool tone than the Flower Beauty one. But when I forgot which one I swatched it with, it was a little bit warmer than that. So this one I like specifically when I really want to shape the face. I want to contour. Usually my go-to for that was like the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette for like a nice sculpted, like we're going out, this is my birthday, we want some perfection. But drugstore affordable version, this is it. So sometimes if I want to go in with something warmer, and this I kind of want to slide right into the cheekbones and really blend it out. I want that sculpted face effect. This is like my go-to bronzer, or just on its own. I'm gonna kind of go in with a bigger fluffy brush and kind of airbrush it out, and then go in with a teeny tiny brush and really create those cheekbones and blend that out. Love it. My favorite way to use this bronzer specifically, because it can kind of be a lot, you can get a little heavy-handed with it. You don't want it to get muddy. I specifically like this with a dual fiber brush, so it's not going to be as packed of a brush. So this really helps you kind of build it up and really help you kind of gauge how much you're going to build up without going too overboard. So that's my suggestion for this bronzer. But if not, like other regular brushes work, just so that I don't go over like heavy-handed with it, I like to go in with that dual fiber brush, so they're not as packed of a brush, and it just kind of gives you that airbrush natural finish effect. And now leading up to my high-end bronzers, if you want to treat yourself, you've been kind of wanting to go to that Sephora aisle, that other side at Ulta, these are my favorites. So Fenty Beauty, I love this packaging, I love this bronzer, and I love for this brand specifically, the amount of shades they have. I think that's what I kind of like sometimes from the higher end bronzers. Sometimes drugstore, maybe at max you get 3 to 4 different colors. So, but sometimes you're like, I don't have a shade for me, whereas maybe that's why maybe you want to go a little bit more specific, spend a little bit more money. But even then, these aren't too expensive as, you know, other brands would normally be at Sephora, where they're like 30 plus, 40 plus dollars. So I love the Fenty for the shade options. I think they probably have the most shade options, and I just love this color so much. So mine is in the shade Private Island. I'm going to list all my shades down below in case y'all forgot. But this one is a little bit different. This one is more of like a camel tone color. So let me swatch it. Like this is like probably the most different shade than all of these. Is all I feel like work for me. But this is like my most kind of like natural finish bronzer. This is kind of like those no makeup days, or I don't want to really sculpt. I really just want that nice sun-kissed type of a bronze. It just looks so natural. I love the color. It kind of gives my face a kind of different effect, different type of bronze that isn't too harsh. So I feel like if, you know, you're around my skin tone, you're gonna like this one for those reasons, where you're like, I want to bronze, I want to contour, but I don't want to see those harsh lines. I don't want you to know. I kind of want it to look as natural as possible. I feel like the Fenty one in Private Island, or whatever your shade is, I think you're going to find that. They're also not too orange, depending on the shade that you choose, but you can swatch, you can try. If you accidentally buy one that doesn't work for you, keep the receipt, bring it back, you know, like don't feel like you have to keep it type of a deal. But that's kind of what I really like my Fenty one for. And like it still works for like glam looks, but it's just a little bit of a different type of finish. Not as, I don't want to say harsh, but like as like, yeah, she beat her face. Like you can get that depending how you mix it, but it just looks so like, ooh, you look so natural, you know, type of a makeup day. If I can kind of do that, even for a glam girl. The next bronzer, also on the higher end, but still not too expensive. I believe normally it's $29. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills, their powder bronzer. Once again, I love their shade selection. I have mine in the shade Rosewood, and I've already kind of hit pan. This is probably one of my all-time favorite bronzers. The formula, the blendability, it's just, I feel like for those quick makeup days, like I just need to get that bronzer on. I'm not trying to structure, but I'm trying to structure, but not really, because I don't have the time to. This makes it so easy. And honestly, this bronzer for me, the Rosewood shade, like this is the bronzer that I get the most compliments on when I'm wearing it. You know, it's like different spots, like what bronzer are you using? What, like I've never gotten so many compliments on a bronzer than this Anastasia one. Plus, what I really like about it too, if you want to save some money, if you want this one, highly recommend it. But I would say wait maybe if you can for a sale, because this is, of the high-end ones, the most likely to have a sale at Ulta. I remember, I think they had it for like 50% off or something. I was like, oh, I totally should get it back up. But I love this bronzer. Let me swatch this one for you guys so you can see the difference in the color, especially next to the Fenty. So it kind of has a little bit more of that cool tone, kind of like pinker type of a shade, but for my skin tone it works really well. Once again, if you're a little bit more tan, a little bit lighter, there's going to be other shades for you to choose from, which I really like. That's why I do love the higher end. If you want something specifically for your shade, you don't want to kind of have to blend in if you don't have to. But this bronzer, if you're someone who really truly wants a bronzer for a bronzer, you're not really trying to specifically contour the face, you just want a bronzer, this is it. But at the same time, it just warms up your face and kind of structures it that way without really trying too hard. So that's why I really love the Anastasia one. Last but not least is the Alamar Cosmetics Brighten and Bronze Trio. So these are their bronzers and highlight palette trios. This is kind of like that medium range. It's not exactly drugstore prices, but it's not also high end. It's like nice in the middle. This palette was $25 for 3 shades, and the formula is amazing. This formula is probably the most different from the other ones, or at least they kind of like advertise and let you know what's going on here. So they specifically have, you know, it infused with hyaluronic acid to provide that moisture for your face. So for someone, if you're like me and you have dry skin and maybe you don't buy bronzers, you don't buy powdered bronzers because of the powder and it dries up your skin, girl, I am wearing that today, and because of it, this has become like one of my favorite like bronzer palettes. So you get 3 shades. So you get your under eye highlight shade, You get your like all over bronzer shade, and if you want to kind of structure the face a little bit more, you get a deepener. Or why I love it, because in the summertime I start to bike in the summertime, so I'm out in the sun and my face definitely, my body gets it deeper, so I can start mixing these two guys in for like those transitional seasons when you need to go lighter, you need to go darker. I've got it all right here. I love the formula blendability. It's just freaking beautiful because of that hyaluronic acid. It just works so well with my dry skin that I still, even though I'm putting on powders on my face, I'm still maintaining that glow. So yes, if you have dry skin, you need this. Plus their brushes, if any of the brushes, their bronzer brush, so it's kind of like you can use this for foundation too, but this bronzer brush just makes it so easy to apply bronzer that this kind of is like a match made in heaven, especially for those of you who maybe are beginners. You are a little bit intimidated by bronzer. Where do I put it? How do I do it? You know, you just kind of go in with this brush, tap it in, and you're just go around and tap it around your face just like in a 3 little motion. It makes it so easy to blend. You don't have to like blend your face off, you know? It just, this is like the dream team right here. Plus this comes in a trio, comes with 2 other brushes, but I think this bronzer is great for everybody. Anybody who is a beginner and you're a little bit intimidated by bronzers, get this. Anybody who like me is, you know, more on that like higher level of makeup, I love it. I just love the way it sits on the face. I feel like I can do so much with it. Plus, I love to use this trio for my eyes as well, so it's more so than just face. So I'm getting my money's worth with this palette, and I feel like because of this palette, I'm like, yo, I need to upgrade my favorites for everybody because you guys need to know about this, not only brand, but this bronzer trio. So if you guys have been like, I don't know, I have too much makeup, this one needs to be in your collection. You will not regret it. You're going to love it. So those are my current favorite bronzers. Let's call it for 2020. I'm always excited for a bronzer. I think bronzer is definitely one of my favorites. I love foundations, I love concealers, but if I had to choose between like a bronzer and blush, I'm always gonna go for the bronzer. I'm not using blush today because of my bronzer. I don't feel like I need it. I would rather structure my face than, you know, add a little blush. I feel like for my face specifically, a little bit rounder, I feel like just bronzer helps me. So for those of you who feel like, oh my god, I wish I could kind of structure my face, let me tell you, this face is not structured naturally. We got a little help from our specifically Alamar Cosmetics a bronzer trio, but that is just the magic of bronzer. It just adds a whole different effect. Once you start bronzing, I swear to you, it's hard to stop. I can't just be like, okay, just foundation, because in general, when you're laying on that foundation, you're kind of eliminating those natural kind of dimensions you have in your face, those natural shadows. So bronzer just kind of helps bring that back a little bit. And I feel like everybody always, you know, has a little glow up when they're bronzed too. So if you're somewhere in Chicago like me where there's really no sun, like half the time, bronzer is going to be your best friend. So if you guys have not bought in any of these bronzers yet, if they're not in your collection, I highly recommend them. Comment down below if you do have any of these, especially based off of my recommendations, and if you love them, are they staples in your collection? I love hearing from you guys, but hopefully if you pick them up, you do love them. So thank you for whoever requested me to do this video. I love to talk about bronzers and I love to share with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new here, especially because the next new video I gotta do is foundations for dry skin. There's definitely been a bunch in like 2019, 2020 that came out that were not in my original video. So give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you want to see that upgraded video next, and I'll see you all next time.